#1 international best-selling author of the book Finish Line Thinking. He's an in-demand and highly inspirational speaker to corporate audiences. He's a top podcast host, and his client call him the millionaire maker. And this is the reason why I want to have him on the show. Welcome, Nicky.
Sebastian, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here, my friend. Go Mannschaft.
Yes, actually, as we record, Germany is playing, and my son called me just a second ago saying, hey, do you want to see the game? I said, unfortunately not. I have an amazing recording lined up. So, hey, Nicky, you're from Canada, right?
I am indeed.
And people call you the millionaire maker. And what's your secret?
Well, that's a great question. Can I start it by telling you a little bit about my backstory? Because I think that'll set the foundation for it.
Definitely.
So I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. And when I was a young boy, the Iranian Islamic Revolution was happening. I was 11 years old. And my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall. He had the foresight to see this was not going to be a great place for him to raise his Christian family anymore. So he, got very focused and diligent and eventually got us out of Iran and settled us in Canada. And I thank God for my father and his foresight every single day, Sebastian, because he took us out of tyranny and he took us to freedom. I mean, I was a young boy then. It was just before the Iran-Iraq war started when we finally got out, and boys my age were being sent to the front lines. And our job was to go across the minefields to clear them for the soldiers. You know what I mean? By blowing ourselves up to bits. So I thank God for my father. He took me away from a terrible situation. Not just me, but the entire family. And he put us into freedom. And, I don't know how much of the international news you've been following, Sebastian, about what's going on in Iran. But just a few weeks ago, this young woman, Mahsa Amini, she was arrested by the so-called morality police for the crime of being outdoors with her hair uncovered. And they beat her to death over this. Just imagine, because in Iran, the law says that a woman cannot go outdoors with her hair or her skin showing. And so women in Iran and men as well have been now fighting for their human rights, going and protesting. And the Iranian national team refused to sing the Islamic Republic's anthem.
Yes, just a few days ago.
Very, very courageous act. Like, I know there's lots of athletes who like to put on armbands. Look at me, look, I'm so great. And then they get a little bit of pushback, they back away. It took real courage for those young men to do what they did because they faced death. They faced death to do that.
I know, and not just the yellow card,
not just a bloody yellow card and a fine, right? So these are men of courage, and these women, the lionesses of Iran fighting, it's beautiful that what they do. So for me, this brought to me a fierce desire for freedom, free expression, and free enterprise. That is my #1 value. I'm all about that. I am an absolute stand for that. And I am not very politically correct against these people these days that try to say, oh, the West is so terrible. The West is so oppressive. It's so racist. It's so sexist. I'm like, listen, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not saying it's perfect here, but give me a break. This is this is the most tolerant set of societies in the history of the world. And we all need to stand up against these bullies and stop them from shutting us down with their lies, because to me, that's important. And my father, he was a man who believed in freedom, in free expression, and free enterprise. He would stand up against the bullies, and he was an uplifter of people. If you knew him and you were looking for a job, he would find you a job. If you were trying to start a business, he would help you get started. Even if you were going to compete with him, he didn't care about that. He loved to help people. And if you were somebody who worked for him and you were trying to buy a car or a house or an apartment and you didn't quite have enough money, Dad would make up the difference so you could buy that car, that house, or that apartment. And he did a lot of business with German companies too, because he equipped hospitals in Iran, and there were many German companies that made some wonderful products to help equip hospitals. And it was an incredible thing. My father, you would ask yourself, why would a man do something like that? And I would say to you, the reason is, first of all, he was a Christian. He believed that God had blessed him and he was obligated by God to share those blessings. Secondly, he was successful. He had the money. He could do it. That's what made it possible for him to do it. So for me, I wanted to be like my father. I wanted to be someone who helped people. I wanted to be one of the good guys. And so eventually I became an entrepreneur myself, and I got into the world of, providing advisory, coaching, consulting type services to people. And here's the first thing I saw, Sebastian, that many good people, they have a sincere desire to, build a good company, employ people, help people. They want to make a difference, but they are not business people. They haven't studied business. They don't understand business. Yeah. They screw things up. And the worst of it was around sales. They're like, oh, okay, I can't be too pushy. I can't be too aggressive. They're going to think I'm a bad guy. Yeah. They're going to think I have commission breath. I'm like, come on. And
sales is service. Yeah.
Sales
this is our obligation.
You stole my line, Sebastian. You stole my line. Because that was what I went to. I'm like, how can I help these guys? Sales. Don't look at it as sales. Look at it as service. And so when people started to do that, to look at sales as service, they became more successful in selling. One of my key abilities was to help people who had that wrong mentality to rewire their mindset and their thinking. And that alone doubled, tripled, quadrupled their results, because when they started to look at it as service, they would not be thinking I'm doing something bad and wrong. They'd be thinking I'm doing something wonderful and great. So that was the first step. You asked me about branding before we got started. Well, the first step in having a good brand is to have a brand as a person that cares, because my father used to say to me, son, business is not about money. It's about people.
People. Yes.
Business is not about money. It's not about numbers. It's about people. That person in front of you, he said, that's someone's brother. That's someone's father. That's someone's son. That's someone's daughter. That's someone's wife. That's someone's sister. You have to understand they have the troubles of their life on their shoulders. And when they're coming to you, they're looking for a good, caring human being who's going to help them unload some of those troubles. And they have probably been disappointed by people before, just like you, who made them all kinds of promises and didn't do anything, And so it's very important that you understand they're there because they have a problem. Because what is business, Sebastian? Business is not about what you do. Business is about who you do it for. It's about solving problems for people
Creating
for
value.
profit.
Yeah.
PPP, triple P. I call it Nicky Billou's 7-figure 3P solution, solving acute problems for wonderful people for incredible profits. If you take that mentality, that is the foundation of creating a strong brand that can attract people to you, because you'll have a reputation. They'll go, hey, this is a good guy. This is a good human being. He'll take care of you. He'll do what you need him to do for you. You can trust him. And that's step number one.
I resonate so much with your story. Yeah. First of all, you said you grew up in Iran. I grew up in East Germany. Yeah. It wasn't that brutal, the system as you experienced it, but I also lived in a country where there are basically no rights. It was a very closed system. And I completely agree. All the problems people have nowadays. Yeah. Those problems are nothing compared to people like you experienced growing up in a system like this. Yeah. Or, for example, at the moment, of course, I follow the news and I really admire the strength of the Iranian people standing up against the system. Yeah, like just recently on the football cup, that they didn't sing the national hymn. And hey, as you said, they face severe consequences. And compared to what we face, for wearing this little sign, this is nothing. Yeah. So I completely resonate. And yes, sales is service. And business is mindset. Yeah. It's 80% psychology. Yeah. And 20% tactics. Yeah. And if you get
Tony
our
Robbins
mindset
said
right.
That. That's right.
Exactly. I stole this.
You're
but
good
I see
we
speak the same language. But yeah, it's a mindset game. Yeah. You advise your clients a lot in the area of mindset. Right. Yeah.
It's everything, brother. To me, the job of a coach, whether it's a sports coach or a business coach or any kind of coach for that matter, is if you're trying to help people get a result, an outcome, which in my opinion, that should be the job that you have as a coach. You're not there just to do something forever. You're trying to get people an outcome for something. The first thing you have to do is you have to look at what in their mindset is preventing them from getting this outcome, because they are probably talented enough to get the outcome. It's their mindset that's getting in the way. If you can get that mindset fixed, that person, the tactics are almost secondary. I'm not saying they're not important, because they are important, but even with not so good tactics, a great mindset will get a result, right? Now, with really good tactics, it'll get a bigger result faster and all that stuff. But with a terrible mindset, even the best tactics will not be successful. The people that I've had the greatest success for have been people that have made a decision, first and foremost, Sebastian, that they're going to win. These are the 4 qualities of success. The first is decisiveness. Now, in the English language, right, the word decide, it has at its root side, which is from a Latin word that means kill off. There are other words: decide, homicide, suicide, regicide, patriot. It's all about killing off. Decision is killing off the alternative to victory. So you must make a decision, not a kick the tire. Do I like it? No, I'm buying this car. That's the attitude. It's got to be that, nothing else. Then secondly, you must have a commitment to victory. You cannot have a commitment to your comfort. A commitment to comfort is losing in life. Victory means I'm in it to win it. I'm willing to suck at sales until I get good at sales. You know what I mean? That's the sort of attitude you must have. Commitment. Thirdly, you must be coachable. You must have coaches and mentors, and you have to do what they tell you. If you keep doing the same stupid crap you've been doing all your life, it's not going to work. And then fourth, this is very important, Sebastian, for your listeners. You must be resourceful. Tony Robbins said, it doesn't matter what resources you have. It matters how resourceful you are. And let me tell you a story from my own life. You know, back in 2009, I went through a very big life issue. My then wife, seemingly out of the blue, decided she didn't want to be married to me anymore. I was devastated. I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. And
sorry to hear this.
Yeah, well, thank you. But life has changed in a good direction since. But at the time, it was horrible. My mindset became really bad. My business suffered, and I was sleeping on my mother's couch. I was a grown man with 2 children, sleeping on his mother's couch, making no money. It was very embarrassing if you think about it. I went to a business conference, and I saw a man deliver a talk. Now, this man, his talk resonated with me very strongly. Okay. And keep in mind, I'm sleeping on my mother's couch. I'm hating life. I think life sucks. I'm blaming everybody else, and I'm making no money. But his talk resonated with me. I walked up to him with a lot of trepidation and fear, but I said, "Hey, how are you?" We chatted for a bit. I said, "Listen, I think I need to hire you." He looked at me and he said, "Really?" He said, "Okay, but I need to tell you a few things first." I said, "Okay, go ahead." He said, "First of all, my minimum fee is $5,000 for 5 hours of coaching and consulting with me. Yeah. I make no guarantees. I give no refunds, and I take the money up front and in advance." He said, "Do you still want to hire me?" And I went, "Oh my God, I don't have any money. I have no money."
The stories come up, no?
Yeah, no money. I told him, "Listen, I don't have that money." And he said, "Okay." Resourceful. He said, "I'm going to give you a little bit of free coaching." Free coaching was how he put it, Sebastian. He said, "It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't. It matters how bad do you want change." He said, "You sound like your life is in a pretty bad place." I said, "Yeah, it is." He said, "Well, what matters now is how bad you want change. Because if you want change badly enough, you will become resourceful and you will find a way to get this money." And Sebastian, I hated him in that moment. I hated what he was telling me. It was so painful to hear it, but he was right. So I swallowed my pride and I said, "Give me a couple of days." And I made an appointment to see him in 2 days, in person, not even by telephone. I made an appointment to see him in person in 2 days at his office.
So you have leverage, you know?
Yeah. So I got onto it, man. I just I went home, and back then I was a fitness coach. And I had a few people I was speaking to who had not, made a decision to work with me or not. So I had a lot of urgency in me. I picked up the phone and I made a phone call and I said, hey, listen, I have really good news for you. And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" I said, "You're really fat and you need to lose weight. I'm really broke and I need money. I'm going to make you the deal of a century." I'm going to make you the deal of a century. I'm going to give you my coaching for half price. But here's the catch. You have to say yes now and you have to pay me now. What's it going to be? And 2 guys said yes, and they gave me $1,000 each. And, I helped them get fit over time, which was great. So I went to my appointment with this man. His name was Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And, I said, Bill, here you go. I was very proud of myself. I put $2,000 on the table. He took a look at me and he said, yeah, that's nice. I said 5,000. Right. And then I said, wait a minute, Bill, how many people have you told this story to? Have you given this speech to, this little speech you gave me? He said, over the years? I said, yeah. He said, 30, maybe 40. I'm like, okay, that's a good number of people. I said, besides me, who else came to you with any money? He said, oh, that's easy. You're the first. I'm like, really? Okay. Well, you know what? Bill, take my money and I'll sign a contract where I'll pay you the balance in 30 to 60 days, whatever the case may be, because I'm very committed. And he agreed. And, I paid him off. And within 4, 5, 6 months, I made $100,000. Keep in mind, I had made no money for a long time. So Amazing. It was a massive transformation for me. And that's when I learned it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money I have. It doesn't matter how much money someone talking to me has.
Being resourceful.
Only thing that matters is how bad do you want change? And if you want it badly enough, you will become resourceful and you'll figure it out. And that's really the 4 qualities. So when I look to work with somebody, I want to know first, have they made a decision that they're going to do something about this? Are they committed no matter what to victory? So they're not going to back away. Are they coachable? And finally, are they resourceful? If they are all 4 of these things, they get to work with me and they'll probably do really well. If they're not all 4 of these things, unfortunately, they don't get to work with me.
It's a wise decision. I mean, you have to have filters and you can only take on people where you know that there's a high chance of success. Yeah. And I know so many people who don't want it badly enough. Yeah. They think, life should be better, but they have no clear view what should be better. Yeah. They have no clear goals. Yeah? They have no leverage. They don't suffer enough. Yeah. And really, I mean, I completely resonate with what you say. You need to really want it. I mean, transformation is a tough process sometimes. Yeah. And you can only succeed if there's enough drive in you.
100%.
When you look at your clients, what are the primary problems they have? Yeah, what are the primary
issues? That is such a good question. So there are really 3 or 4 sets of problems business people have. Okay. And then I'll tell you which one is the overwhelming one that I seem to attract. So first and foremost, they may have problems if they have people that work for them. If they are an employee-driven company, they have issues with culture and team performance and things like that. Mm-hmm. So the whole area of how to get results through people is an issue. So right now, one of the big issues people have is many of their people are dealing with mental health issues because of all these lockdowns, craziness of the last few years. So they're not performing well as a team and the company isn't doing as well as it should be. So these are some issues that people come to us with. A secondary issue that folks have is everything is based on the owner, the founding entrepreneur. They work so hard, they're burnt out.
They're the bottleneck of the business.
Yeah, it's unsustainable. They get sick, they get heart attacks, they get all kinds of craziness that comes their way. Now, a third thing is they have issues with revenue generation, lead generation, client generation, sales, things like that. So for me, what I deal with the most is the last one, the lead generation, client generation, and things like that. Now, the way we help these folks solve these problems are a little bit unorthodox because a lot of people would say, oh, okay, you're like, maybe you do advertising for them or, you build a website. No. That's not how I look at it. The first thing I look at is the mindset. I go deep into their mindset. Like I said, make sure they're, coming from a space of having the right attitude about selling because so many of them don't. So we have to address that. And then the second thing that we do is we have them stand out in the marketplace. Their messaging usually is not very good, Sebastian. Their messaging, they think it's good, but it's really not very good. So lots of people, you talk to them, what do? They go into this deep exposition. I'm an executive coach. I'm a consultant. And this is my fantastic XYZ methodology. And your eyes glaze over and you go, okay, yes. I got to wait until I can politely get out of this. Right. And that was a wasted opportunity for that person. And they don't just say it that way. It's in all their marketing messaging, right? I don't know what it's like in Germany, but in Canada, for example, in real estate, there's so many billboards with a picture of the real estate agent and number one in my city for the last 5 years, right?
Exactly.
Things like that. Free staging, free painting. Okay, that's nice. Really, like if I was looking to hire someone to sell a house for me or buy a house for me, the first thing that I would want to know is if they were selling a house for me is in markets right now in Canada are a little bit tough. Want to know how to get top dollar for selling your house? Let me show you 5 reasons people aren't getting top dollar right now. Come have a meeting with me. I'll tell you what those are. I would make me interested in having a meeting with that person. You know what I mean? If I was looking to sell my house. Now, if you're, for example, an executive coach or a consultant, and let's say you want to work with entrepreneurs, help them make more money, whatever the case may be. If they ask you, so what do? You shouldn't say, well, I'm an executive coach. You should say something. This is what I say to my clients. So what do you do, Nicky? Well, I work with primarily service-based entrepreneurs, and I'm really good at helping them add 1 or 2 zeros to their annual turnover or income. Now,
exactly.
Sebastian,
what's the result?
You would like that, right? You would listen to that. You go, a 0 or 2 to my annual income? I could use that. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what else this guy has to say. Where if I just said, oh, Sebastian, I'm an executive coach with this fantastic methodology, you'd just be going, oh my God, how soon can I get away from this guy? Right?
Yeah.
You have to be speaking to people in terms of the problems that they're dealing with. That is the way to be branded, not in terms of your phenomenalness, because they'll figure that out based on how much you show you care. There's an American poetess. Her name is Maya Angelou. I don't know if you know who she is, but she has a beautiful line from one of her poems. She says, people will forget what you said to them. People will forget what you did for them, but people will never, ever forget how you made them feel. And I went,
this is a very good statement.
It is.
How you made them feel. Yeah. And what transformation you deliver. Yeah. What are the results? And then also how you do it, in one sentence. Yeah. How you add these additional digits to your income. Yeah. And I completely agree.
I have a story for you about that, Sebastian, if I may. There was a young man. He came to us, and when he came to us, he was 25, brand new in business, and he was a personal fitness coach. Okay. And he was a really good person, Sebastian. You would really like him. You would say, this is a good guy. I want to see him succeed. But he was a terrible businessman. Oh my God. He was so bad, like brutal. Okay. He had 7 clients, and they were people he knew. And he was making $1,200 a month in Toronto. Toronto is like Berlin or London in terms of how expensive it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
so
you understand, 1,200 is not really going to make it in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
And so I agreed to work with him, and I was like, okay, all right, let's see what we can. His name was Dan. Danny, we called him. I said, okay, Danny, tell me a little bit about your business. Who do you work with? And, what do you do? And how do you help them? And I was starting to ask, my questions. And he's like, oh, but Nicky, I can work with anybody. I'm like,
oh yeah,
anybody.
I know where you're getting. Where you're getting to.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm like, okay. I said, Danny, no. You can't. He said, really, but I can work with anybody. I can help him lose weight. I can help him get fit. I can help him enter competitions. I'm that good. I'm like, I'm sure, Danny, but you need to narrow your focus. And he goes, okay, all right, Nicky. All right. I hired you. I'll listen to you. He said, okay, you know what? My dad's a doctor. I love my dad, and doctors, they make so much money. So let me go work with doctors. I go, Danny, your message is, I love my dad, and doctors make money. It's not a good message. And he said, no, I'm going to do it. All right. He did it for a while, not really got much results. And then after a while, he wasn't making money still. I'm like, Danny, we got to change this. So he said, okay. I go narrower, right? I goes, okay, cardiologists. I work with cardiologists. They make more money than doctors. I'm like, oh my God, that's your message? You make more money than doctors? No, it didn't work. So all of a sudden, just through the grace of God, he started to work with a Paralympian athlete, right? And this guy had a missing leg from a childhood accident. And these 2 guys, they really hit it off. They started to work together really well. He helped this guy get so strong and fit. He actually won some medals at competition, right? And then he came to me after all this and he says, okay, Nicky, I think I get it. I've just been going after the money. And what I should have been going after is being of service to somebody. And I was of service to this man, and I loved working with him. I think I want to work with people with missing limbs. I want to be the branded expert for people with missing limbs, the authority. And I said, Danny, that's
amazing.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So Sebastian, in the 6 weeks, he made 400 new clients come into his business. He added not 1 0, but 2 zeros, $100,000.
And this is so powerful. Yeah. Because I mean, we work with CEOs of fast-paced tech companies. Yeah. And I just onboarded a client, and this is a development company. Yeah. They are software developers, and the same topic. I mean, I like developing teams. I like developing high performance teams. But again, what are the issue? Sales and marketing. Yeah. So I asked him, okay, what do you do? For whom do you work? What's your market? Yeah, we work for this industry. And then he named 15 industries. I said, okay. And what do you do? Yeah, we have all these skills. And he showed me an Excel sheet with all the program languages they cover, And I said, hey, if you have a back problem, are you going to a doctor who can also fix your eyes, or are you going to a back specialist? Yes, that's actually right. Yeah. So my homework for him was really, what is an industry and what are the people you resonate with? Who do you want to work with? What kind of people you want to surround yourself with every day? And then, of course, you need to be an authority in this industry. Don't sell your technical skills. Yeah. Don't sell coding language, because then you're comparable with 100,000 other coders which charge far less money than you. You should be the expert, the authority in the industry you choose to serve. A long thinking process is starting now with this guy, but I think he got it. Yeah. And exactly what you said.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's very, very important. Someone's a CEO these days. Honestly, the smartest thing they can do is become the authority CEO, the brand CEO. You think about people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. These guys, their company is not as big as they are. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got into Apple because of Steve Jobs. Everything I buy is Apple. I bought Tesla stock because of Elon Musk. When he bought Twitter, I went back on Twitter because I decided Twitter wasn't for me anymore. And why is that? The brand of this individual is infused with the brand of the companies they work with. It makes people want to buy more. It makes people want to work there more. It makes investors want to give them more money. So one of the things that I've started to do for a CEO of a company is I'll help him write a book. I'll help him put together a podcast, and I'll help him have a message that will allow him to go and be a guest on podcasts and radio and TV and attract business to him. There is an American CEO. His name is Patrick Bet-David. He has a channel called Valuetainment. Do you know this channel, Valuetainment?
I don't know it yet, but I will check it out.
So 10 years ago, he was just a regular CEO of an insurance brokerage. Okay. He had 200 agents. He did well. He made $2 million a year, which is good money, right? Yeah. But he wanted to scale. He wanted to be much bigger. So he created Valuetainment to put him and his brand out there. This attracted so many more agents to him. He went from 200 agents to 27,000 agents. He went from $2 million a year to $270 million a year in profit. This is all because he created a powerful personal brand for him. Now, if you're a CEO and you don't understand that this is important, you are using tactics from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and not current tactics to grow and scale. And what I say to a CEO is, we need to make you the brand. You are the brand, the founder brand, the CEO brand. You know, CEO as thought leader, CEO as the brand of the company is super, super important. And one of the things that I suggest to everybody who wants to grow and scale in this day and age is to start to think about how they can create that brand for themselves.
Create a brand, create content. I mean, you as a CEO, you are a media person. Yeah. You have to put yourself out, on podcasts, on video messages. Yeah. As you said, I mean, putting yourself as a guest speaker, putting your own podcasts out, inviting people, showing your message and being present on the internet.
Exactly. 100% agree with that assessment.
Awesome. So coming back to your focus your name, the millionaire maker. Many people probably ask themselves, hey, okay, now the year is almost over. Yeah. But maybe what do you think? What could they do to really add something on their bottom line? Maybe this year, the next couple of months. What is a tactic where you say, hey, do this and you finish 22 strong?
That's a really good question. I think one of the things you ought to think about is, are you valuing your company and its offerings properly? Are you charging appropriately? Many people go out into the marketplace, Sebastian, and this is how they do their pricing. They look at what other people are doing and they put their pricing based on that. And as a result, they're undercharging. Now, what's wrong with undercharging? I'll tell you many things. First of all, when you don't charge enough, you actually rob your clients of the value of the solution you offer them. Now, why do I say that? Well, just imagine, Sebastian, that let's say you were a relationship coach and you worked with entrepreneurs who have $25 million or euro companies, and you only work with men who their wives have said, goodbye, I'm leaving you. And what you offer is valuable because they get divorced. They're going to lose half the company, at least. They're going to lose their kids. They're going to have all kinds of emotional pain, right? Yeah. And what you do is you're going to, protect them from all that, right? And there's a guy, he's in front of you and he's like, oh my God, my wife left me. And you ask him questions, you talk to him and you say, well, listen, we can help you take care of this. You're going to keep your company. Don't worry about it and all that jazz. And he goes, okay, Sebastian, I'm ready. Let's go. So what's the investment to work with you, Sebastian? And you go, 100 euros. He's going to go,
you don't have money. You lose everything. So it's very cheap. I make you a good price.
Yeah. He's not going to take you seriously. Now, if you said,
he doesn't put the effort in.
No effort. If you said 100,000 euro, he would take you extremely seriously because he would know that, wow, this is a serious guy who's going to deliver a serious result. So I say this, the way you price is you need to price enough so people take it seriously and show up ready to do what needs to be done to get the result. And most people undercharge. So I tell your listener right now, I even say to you, are you charging enough? Have you looked at it? And even if you think you are, look at your pricing. Look at the value of the outcome you offer to people. Then look at what you charge. Is there a correlation? If there is, great. If there isn't, then let's look at raising your fees. And obviously it's, not as simple as, okay, I'm going to raise my fees. You have to own it. You have to be able to sell it to people. But to me, that's one thing I would do immediately right now. And I help clients do this all the time, Sebastian. I had a client, he ran a clinic in Manhattan, okay? And this guy, he was amazing, but he didn't make a lot of money. He made 150,000 profit a year, which came and went in Manhattan, right? That's an expensive place. Yeah. And I said, he came to me, he goes, Nicky, oh my God, I need to make more money. I said, how much more money? He said, I need to make $1 million a year profit. I said, okay, let's look at your business. Everything about his business was great except his pricing. He charged very little money. And he had clients that were like A-list people, like Robert De Niro, actors like that. And, big name politicians, And I said, look, you got to raise your fees. He said, I think he thought I was going to say 10%. He said, okay, how much? I said, no, you raise your fees 20 times. 20 times. Are you crazy? I said, no, that's what it's going to take. He wouldn't do it. Finally, I convinced him to raise it 7 times. Okay. Sebastian, in 4 months, he did 1.2 million because all his A-list clients said, oh, okay, I can bring my friends now. Look, this is the best clinic in Manhattan. And then everybody came. That's how he got all the clients.
It's all perception. And what perception do you give your clients when you undercharge it? When you don't charge a real price for your services. And as you said, there's not enough leverage that they take action. Yeah. I mean, if you charge $100,000, then, I got to get this going, otherwise I lost $100,000. If you charge $100, then they say, I don't care. I mean, $100 is nothing. Yeah. So they don't take in the action. Yeah. So very good point. And yes, the year is still young and think about your pricing. Yeah. Think about the value you create with your client. Yeah. And think about leverage. How can you make them do the work?
Brilliant questions all.
Yeah. Thank you. So you do a lot of work that they position themselves right on the market. You advise them basically becoming media persons, creating content, creating podcasts, writing books, books are a very powerful and important topic. Yeah. I mean, you don't make much money from book, but it's the authority.
You don't make money from book sales.
Exactly.
But you make a lot of money from books.
Exactly. From the book sale. I forgot to mention this. And I mean, I wrote a book, and the money you get from the sale is negligible. But when you talk to someone, and they name you as, he is the author. Yeah. And this is authority. Yeah. This is, it gives you credibility with your clients, and the people you speak to, and I completely agree.
100%. And if you're not a writer, that's why you work with folks who can help you distill your thinking and your messaging. That's one of the things that, I'm good at. So I can show you, these are 5 of the books I've written. So this is a book I wrote by myself. This is a book I wrote by myself as well. But this is a book that I wrote with the CEO of a company that is all about showing people how to leverage their network. So I do that, but that's his company's business. This is a book written by an insurance agent, and he wants to show people how to make $1 million a year income. So I do that. And this was a political book I wrote with a fellow who talks about American politics. So it's important to understand that a book is not out of reach just because you think, well, I'm not a good writer. I don't have the time. I don't want to learn it, etc. You can get a book written for you if you get good help. And that's very straightforward to do.
Hey, what is coming up for you in the next couple of months? Any special events planned? Anything happening in your space?
In January, we're doing one of our quarterly, what we call branded thought leader immersion workshops. It's 3 days in Toronto in person, where you get to be with a bunch of other like-minded folks that are all interested in learning about how they can create that thought leader brand and use it to leverage their business. So that's one of the things we're doing. And we're really, really keen to meet a bunch of good business owners, a bunch of great consultants and coaches, and show them how they can use this way of thinking to add that 0 or 2 to their business. So that's kind of what's top of mind for us these days.
Amazing opportunity, for everyone listening to that and to kind of travel to Toronto. Hey,
in January, when it's the coldest, it always is.
January, exactly. Put in your warm
Freeze
clothes.
Yourself.
I had someone who was working for us. She lived in the Philippines, and they migrated to Canada last year. In January. Wow. And this was a shock to her system.
I'll bet it was. Philippines is quite warm and Canada is not.
Exactly. Hey, where can people find you on the internet, Nicky?
Well, anywhere on the social media channels is good. But if you're a business owner or a consultant and you want to have a business conversation, I offer that. I offer a complimentary coaching session. I call it a success coaching session. And essentially what I do is I give 45 minutes of my time away for free to a serious business person to take a dive into where your business is at, where it's stuck, where you want it to be. And I put together a blueprint plan for people. It's a very valuable session. It's worth $1,500, but we give it away for free. There's no catch. Like there's no, okay, you're going to do this and then force me to buy something. No, it's nothing like that at all. But obviously, it's part of our desire that people who come to that get to know who we are. And some of those people will end up doing business with us. That's normal and to be expected. So I don't want people to think that doesn't happen. It does happen. But there's no high pressure, no gotcha, no little tricks. Just we want to meet
don't have to put in your credit
that's
card
why
first.
We offer to people. Yeah.
Nicky, it was an honor to have you here on the show. Amazing conversation. I mean, we resonate quite well. Yeah. I mean, we have similar views and we both seem to like Tony Robbins a lot.
He's great. My lady, she works in Tony Robbins' company as one of his coaches. So I know quite a bit about Tony through her.
Yeah. Great. Hey, thank you so much for spending your morning with us here in the studio. And have an amazing rest of the year and best of luck for your immersion 3 days in January where you help people become an authority. Thanks, Nicky.
Sebastian, thank you for having me on the show. It was an honor to be here. God bless you, brother. And go Mannschaft. We should check the score soon.
We will.